So while they were asleep, I packed my bags in the late night, in the wee mornings
Okay.
of Africa.
All right.
And I'm gonna say this, like a dumb, I walked in Africa to try to make it to the airport, forgetting that I'm in Africa. So it's dark and it's all, all I hear is like animals and stuff.
Right.
Like, and I'm like, yo, I'm in Africa.
It's now time for local legends, past, present, and future on the 50+1 Production Network, sponsored by Perry Jenkins. I'm your special guest host, Atlas X, and today we have the legendary Shakil on the set. What's happening?
What's good, bro? Thanks for having me.
No doubt, Shakil, I was definitely looking forward to this particular interview because I am hip hop. All right, so let me start there. All right, that's why I'm glad to have you here today.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, I want to talk about a cult classic movie. One of them is like a lot of people know about the original Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then there's a legendary movie that everyone, almost like Scarface, we were talking about that offset. People had that on their shelf.
Right.
And another movie I think a lot of people have on their shelf stars Christopher Walken, which is called The King of New York.
New York.
All right. So I say that to say, Shakil, you're known as the King of Camden.
Yes, I am.
And how did that come about?
Well, not from me. Come about from my body of work. As far as me saying it, well, I always say this, a man can self-proclaim anything, right? He can self-proclaim him being the best or him being the greatest or him being the GOAT, right? But it's the people who give you that title. The people who know your work, the people who watched your work, the people who loved your work, they give you the title. So I've been named by my peers the King of Camden. Me, honestly, I prefer just a legend. I call myself the legendary Shakil for a reason, because I believe legends live on and kings die soon. Kings get passed on. You gotta pass the crown down to somebody else soon enough, but your legend always lives. You feel me?
Oh yeah, I feel you on that. The legend does live. So let's talk about hip hop. What does hip hop stand for? Higher infinite power, healing our people. So for those who don't know, rap comes under the umbrella of hip hop. And we can go back into the history of hip hop. If you want to chronicle back, you'll hear people talk about Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, the Cold Crush Brothers, and so forth. But Shakil, for now, and Curtis Blow and all that, but we're going to start off with Def Jam Records really being the first real face of hip hop when it came to a record label. All right. So how did you get into hip hop? Where does it start with you?
It's funny you spoke on Def Jam, but you realistically would bring up Russell Simmons, right?
No doubt.
And Rick Rubin. What
a combination, those two.
It's a hell of a combination.
Yes.
So what you asking that at, it was Crush Groove. Ain't that something?
Yes.
So you remember back when Crush Groove had aired, came out? I saw Crush Groove. I actually saw Wild Style.
Yes.
If you remember that? Another hip hop movie. It was those movies, physically being able to see how the artists interacted, how they came up, how they lived. Like, of course, Sedgwick Ave, Kool Herc, the Bronx, that's the birth of hip hop. So when I seen how they actually, and then it was relatable because coming from Camden, the Bronx looked like Camden, right? And what else do black men, black kids, what do we have to do? What do we do to entertain ourselves? Most of us remember scraping the cans and putting them on the fire hydrants and have fun. But then you put a DJ out and bought spinning records and put a microphone out, and people had good times in the park. And then you could see that physically. So those things intrigued me, actually seeing it. And then we had a show called, it was the Lady B show.
Oh, yeah.
So you remember that show.
WHAT back in the day, by the way. So let's make sure we're clear on that. WHAT, yeah. Lady B. Go ahead.
So I remember hearing Lady B play hip-hop. And, of course, Def Jam. If you go there, Run DMC. Run from Run DMC is the ultimate performer, and just the energy, just everything about Run made me want to do this. But I do got to add this in since you have me here speaking on my, why. Michael Jackson.
Okay.
So watching Michael Jackson do what he do on stage and the people react to him, and then seeing him off stage and he's just this timid guy, quiet guy, whatever, but then get on stage and perform like a monster. That used to be me. That's what I went into it for. That's what I wanted to do. I used to be a shy guy. And then when I started rapping and started honing in on my craft and then wanting to be like those guys like Run DMC and watching Michael Jackson and them perform, then I wanted my performance to be the same way and have people just like how you staring at me right now, like you right into what I'm saying, so you get a full Mountie of what I'm gonna give you. That's how hip hop is. That's what hip hop means to me, and that's what I love about the journey of my time coming up or our time coming up, as opposed to these youngins now who don't get the opportunity to enjoy what we saw. And Def Jam is big giant part of it, but we know there's a lot of other labels from what I would say Sugar Hill Gang,
Oh, yeah.
Sugar Hill Records, right?
No doubt.
So Sugar Hill Records is really what ushered it in, and we heard the Sugar Hill Gang, and then that's the first song you really heard on the radio,
at the
right?
time. Yes. Well documented.
Well, yep. And it brought something in me. Sometimes I get goosebumps to this day, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I had a chance to sit down with Def Jam executives and stuff like that when I was coming up into my in my career doing the music stuff. So yeah, I would like to see what else you had to say about how Def Jam is.
Well, when you think about the history of Def Jam, I mean, Def Jam is legendary, and not too long ago they had their 50th anniversary. But for those, starting out initially, LL Cool J was one of the main artists on Def Jam Records. Public Enemy also on Def Jam, records. Now, Russell Simmons, for those of you who don't know, he was brothers with Run, okay, from Run DMC. So let's be clear about that, okay? So you had DMC, Run, and of course Jam Master Jay, all right? And they were actually on Profile Records.
It was on Profile,
all right?
Yeah.
Even though they, you had the big Timex Social Club tour way back in the day, and that's what they did. That's what Def Jam Records was about. Now, when you think about the evolution of hip hop, yes, it did start in the East Coast. Boogie Down Bronx, South Bronx, KRS-One, got to definitely give him a shout out.
Yeah.
You had the Fat Boys, back there as far as the history, Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim, the legendary Eric B. and Rakim, starting it all out. But hip hop has evolved. There's a lot of people, and as you talked about, we were at the beginning. We actually saw the beginning of hip hop. And, here we are 50 years later. Hip hop is global. And of course, when you think about the United States, you had Def Jam Records. Then, of course, you went the West Coast, or Ice-T back in the day, all right? When you think about that, we've evolved all the way up to Kendrick Lamar, but we can't forget about NWA and Death Row Records. And then we have the Dirty South with artists like Ludacris, Andre 3000, Big Boy, all right? And then when you go down south, of course, Cash Money Records is holding it down right now with their roster of artists, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Lil Wayne, you know what I mean? So hip hop is definitely spread, and I can't forget about Kendrick Lamar and what he's doing right now. So there's a lot of evolution of hip hop and where we are, but the state of hip hop has changed a lot. And so, but let's talk about hip hop in your career for a minute right now, meaning just looking back over some information for you. I see back in the day, the Electric Factory, you had a chance to perform, open up for Nas, all right? You also had a song called Homegrown, all right? And also another cut called Still Gangster, all right? So tell us a little bit about that as you evolved your craft and your skill in hip hop.
So just to let you know, Nas is my all-time favorite MC. So back in like 92 when he surfaced, he changed the perplexity of how rhyming, Rakims and them, Big Daddy Kane's and them, they all had a style. KRS-One, they all had a style. But Nas came and tried to, it really illuminated how people were supposed to rap now. Like, you got to come with your A game, right? So
no doubt.
As a person that came up that way, listening to those type of people, I always had to make sure that I came with my A game because I was battling myself. I not only battle people out there to gain what I gained in the city and everywhere else as a rhymer, as a lyricist, but I battle myself because I got to be better than my next. This day I got to be better than myself the next day. Or the next song that I write got to be better. So I was always competing with myself, which makes me even more. I don't think no one can see me when it comes to being a rapper. That goes for rappers that have way bigger names than me. I think that's the competition part of what hip hop is about, and it's supposed to be more likely not a life ending situation, right? So you spoke on Homegrown. Homegrown is actually the name of the album. I have a song on there called Homegrown. Because I'm from the city of Camden, a lot of the the residents, a lot of the artists there, they always looked up to me. They always backed me. I've been one of those artists to have full just I can't even say, oh, Cannon hates on me like certain rappers from the city do. But I always try to tell them that being an artist is bigger than being from Camden. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a rapper, a Camden rapper. Be a rapper from Camden, right? Which takes you out further. So when I say homegrown, I was just speaking on how we are here, but we can make it out, right? This is where I'm from. This is what I've done when I was here. This is what I accomplished when I was here, but that's just here. We all have the same situation in every different hood, every part of this country. There's a hood in every country. I mean, every part of the United States and even further out. If you look at the UK, look
Right.
how deep they doing hip hop, but they're in the hoods, right? So they just telling their story. To me, I'm gonna just give you 100% real. Feel me, Atlas? I want you to understand fully that whatever I say in my rhymes, you can feel it because you went through it. You know somebody who went through
No
it.
doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what hip hop is about, and that's what always my hip hop has always been about. Just being real.
Right. Now, with that being said, there's an artist who's down south in Florida, Rick Ross, and one of his classic songs was "Every Day I'm Hustling." All right. So, with that being said, and I'm going to take it back to Oakland. Matter of fact, we were talking about football, and we were talking about the Oakland Raiders there for a minute, and I'm going to talk about, of course, Too Short. All right. And Too Short is one of the legendary artists in hip hop, all right, and how he sold so many records or cassettes at the time, all right, out of the trunk of his car, all right. And back in the day, we would call it units. And so you were telling me at one point you sold about 50,000 because when you think about the business, okay, how does the artist make money? Well, back then, well, there was record sales, cassette sales, of course, going on a tour, okay, right? These are ways that artists can make money in the game. And then sometimes you even have the merchandise. With that being said, Shaquille, before we go to break, tell me, far as how did that evolve to the point where you sold 50,000 units and where are you at that stage of your career?
Man, so after going through numerous stages in my career with groups, and then being and sitting down with record executives and A&Rs and stuff like that throughout the entire time of my career, once once 2005 came, right? I would say 2000 and I would say 2003. So in 2003, me and my brother, I call him my brother. He's a big brother to me. You know him well. Perry knows him well. Stingray,
No doubt.
Drop
Stingray,
Zone
drop zone.
Studio.
Yep.
Shout out to Stingray. There was a, there was like a, he's been very, 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 very intricate in my music career, right? Stingray, but he's always been a fan too. Like prior to him being a part of me. So when I got on a project with him and he saw the following that I had, he decided that let's do an album. And in a sense, it took probably not even a month to create an entire album, which was called Legendary, which we end up dropping off Drop Zone in 2005, Atlas. So what I did was, as an independent artist, me being signed to label to a few labels, a few production companies, seeing how it worked, reading books, reading the industry books, just going through numerous situations in the industry,
Right.
knowing how it works behind the scene business wise. I decided to go independent. Me and Ray did it. So what we did, we hit what's it called now? Disc makers. It was disc makers.
Yep.
We got those, which you can't do right now because everything is digital. But we hit disc makers, and we re-upped at least about 20 times at 1,000 CDs at the time, and then was distributing them out to numerous. Back in the day, what Sam Goody.
Right. That's right.
We had Daz Records. Shout out to Daz. Daz was real big. Just a lot of record companies at that time that was ordering
Okay.
too. So not only did we sell 25,000 directly, we was moving 20 other thousand in different areas because we was moving from here all the way to Atlanta, all the way to Virginia, down to Virginia. We did all the footwork. We drove to New York. We just sold records and kept re up. And it was just a good feeling. Back then it was MySpace, if y'all remember.
Oh yeah.
MySpace. So I had the biggest following in this region in 2005. MySpace, I had over 400,000 followers and profile views and plays and stuff like that. That led to a almost record deal with Epic Records. That was off of it was off of Power 99 with Mikey Dread and Pooch Man.
Yes.
So I have an interview that's on YouTube from back then that you could see still, where I almost won that, but basically really turned that down also, because again, the machine is always the better version, the better part to have, like a Kendrick Lamar. But if you don't have the machine, we don't hear Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar been out a while, you know what I'm saying? But we have a dude named Tech Nine, who's from California, which you follow hip hop.
Right.
Tech Nine never had a major record deal, but he's one of the biggest hip hop artists we know right now, because he's moving so many units in California in that area. So being independent at that time and being independent right now is still important to me, because as a 54-year-old man, I'm in high demand from the youngins that's doing it, because I've never, they say you still got it. In me, I say I never lost it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a gift.
Right.
Instead of me saying I have a talent, I feel like I have a God-given gift, and I'm relatable, right? So anything that you bring my way, I can do it.
All right. Well, that sounds really good. So with that being said, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the state of hip hop. We'll be back with more of the legendary Shakil on Local Legends, Past, Present, and Future.
A podcast, man. Tear it up.
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm you know how I do, man. I'm with Perry. Anytime I'm with Perry, everything is workable. You know what I'm saying? We do what we do.
That's what you need to do. That's all you need to know. Well, get it in, man. Tear it up, man. I'm looking forward to seeing your podcast when you're all done.
No doubt, bro. Good to hear from you too.
You too, and you take care of yourself.
God bless you, man. That's how hip hop was created.
Right.
Hip hop was created from culture, right?
Absolutely.
So if you started off like how we started off, and I can say we because I'm in their age bracket, we started off freestyling, doing what we were doing at the time, and then actually when you got into the mix of things, which would be whatever you was doing in the streets and stuff, then you incorporated that into your rhyming, into what you build on your lyrics. So, and at the same time, you had to go through people. None of these people are going through anybody. That's why Drake getting his butt, handed to him. Because Kendrick Lamar had to go through people, in Compton. He had to go through people. What I mean by that is you had to go battle this guy and battle that guy and be in ciphers in school here and there. Where, in today's society, everybody just think they can pick up a microphone because they got a board and they got the internet, and now everybody's a so-called rapper. But it don't work that way. When was that, P?
That was an independent film that Jesse had wrote, and we got Shakil to star in it.
Perry, that movie is a testament to me and Perry's, not just our closeness in our relationship, but that's a testament to Perry's respect for my talent.
Oh, definitely.
Perry's always, since he's known me when I was a child, always knew that I had talent. And he's always been there to give me words of wisdom. And me, I respect the people who did it before me, right? So without him having like people like him, who was with Galaxy and stuff like that, and was signed to labels, me, y'all would have probably known who I was. I would have probably been bigger than what I am now, but I'd have probably been still sitting in the same seat, because all the labels that whatever label I signed to at that time, if I was naive, would have just recouped everything that I had, and I would have just still been a working man at the end of the day. So Perry's been very, very, very important, and I'd say that not because he's here, but he's been very important in my career and in my life. He's a big brother to me.
Not only that, me and him did a song for this movie here, The Cage. We shot video and all that stuff.
This is another independent film?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we did a song, and it's funny because even with that, he looks at me, yo, I need you to write this song, get on it. And then I wrote it. I never saw the movie yet, not one time.
I just told you about it.
What it was, and the whole concept of the movie is in the video. When you hear it coming from me and him, like, as far as the song lyrics go. It was even crazier is when I say he respects my talent, is because my talent goes far and beyond what other hip hop artists does.
Oh, yes.
What I mean by that, I'm Muslim. Perry's a Christian man. Perry has done gospel songs, and every time he wants a rapper to get on him, he calls me.
Right.
And I've completed songs with Perry in the gospel forms because I know how to relate either way. It's just two differences in who we call God, but the message is still the same. So I'm always able to come through for him, and I'm always honored when he does look for me to come and put a song together.
Welcome back to Local Legends, Past, Present, and Future. Today's guest, once again, is a legendary Shakil, not Shakil.
Yeah.
All right, so we like a shocker.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
I like to welcome to the set another legend in his own right, Perry Jenkins. Perry, how you doing today?
Good, bro.
Perry, so let's get right to it. Obviously, you've known Shakil for quite some time, all right? And you have a lot of history. We know some of it with him working with Ray and Stingray, or, as Stingray as far as some production itself. But let's go back a little bit further than that, because Shakil was telling me off camera that, you've known each other for years. So how did that come about?
Probably 30 plus years at least.
Yeah, more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
So where did it start, Perry? Maybe some 30.
Like he said, he had a group called the Newborns,
Mm-hmm.
and they was blowing up around Philly and Jersey, and I met him back then, and on occasion, the boy Ray Watkins, which is Stingray,
Mm-hmm.
he had a studio out in Cherry Hill,
Essence.
and I did a project out there, and that's when I met Ray, and basically Shock. I knew him for a while, but I knew about what the kind of talent he had,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't care what you give him, is coming back a winner. The one movie we starred him in called The Bridge. Me and my partner Jesse, was a movie called The Bridge, and he starred in it. And the movie was about, he was really a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But all through the movie, you didn't know it until the end. But I seen the way he just memorized all his lines, and everybody else's lines in the movie. They would go for him for a line check. And
It's funny you remember that, man.
oh yes,
I was giving everybody their lines.
How
Yep.
about that?
and we had him in another movie we did called The Cage, which I went to him and told him about it. I said, well, I want him to do a song. I need you to do a rap to it. And I just sat there and told him what the movie was about. and he was jotting down a little bit. I'm just about this rich psychiatrist, and it was called. He was a patient named Merlin, and I guess gave him a few details. He came back like he wrote the movie in his rap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when we speak about, just artists and both of you being entertainers, all right, and of course, once again, Perry Jenkins being an award-winning gospel artist, sometimes you have collaborations. And, Shakil, on my way over here, I was talking to our producer, Josh, and I was talking about someone like, say, a Big Daddy Kane one time when he did something with Patti LaBelle. Okay, it was featured on one of his songs. So sometimes you'll have artists, from different genres. You maybe team up with another artist. So with that being said, why don't you talk about some of the projects, Shakil, you've done with Perry? I know you had Back to the Basics. Okay, one of them, and you had a song on there. All right, with Perry, and also you had another project. So talk to me about that real quick.
I had his Back to the Basics project. He had me on The Cage. Obviously, that was a movie.
Back to the
soundtrack.
Basement was Ron
That was Ron.
CD.
Okay.
That was his project.
Yeah, Ron James. Yeah.
Okay.
And his gospel CD. I'm on there.
Any particular
Time
song
to Pray.
Time You Pray? Okay.
Time to Pray, right?
It's time to pray. Yeah.
Yeah. Time to Pray.
And how did that work out as far as, when you think about a hip hop artist, back then, gospel. So how did that come about, when you guys got together and say, hey, let's put this together?
Well, if you brought up Big Daddy Kane, right?
Yes.
And Big Daddy Kane to me is a diverse artist. I believe Big Daddy Kane could do numerous situations. If he could do a song with Patti LaBelle, he could do a song about basically anything. So when I came up listening to Big Daddy Kane, Karis One, and Rakim, and people like that had stories, even LL Cool J, right?
No doubt.
And incorporating the stories, making sure that the story was a part of it. Who's more intrigued about hearing someone just ramble over a beat as opposed to hearing somebody tell a story that they can relate to? So I made sure that as an artist, I'm gonna be relatable. So anything that Perry could bring up, anything that had anything with substance, anything, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you give me anything with substance, I'm gonna burn it for you. I'm gonna do my thing. So when he brought up It's Time to Pray, and he let me hear the concept, and he didn't even really had to let me hear the concept. It's time to pray. That means we all going through something where we need to all get together and sit down and pray on it, right? And like I said, in different religions, everyone prays. So yeah, it's time to pray, and that's how I brought the rhyme across. So I didn't just leave it in one area. Just my Islamic. I brought everybody in. I brought Buddhas. I brought whoever. Everybody. It's time to pray. Let's do this together. Because obviously we going through something together. You know what I'm saying? But anytime Perry brings something to me and anybody else. Recently I just did a song with artist they have called Liz. Shout out to Liz. Love you, sis. She got a transition album right now, and I'm on there. And the song that I have with her on there, they asked me to do a remix, and it's spot on for whatever the song is about. So I want you to actually hear something and look at it. Same way you looking at me right now. When you hear me, or if you hear me, my songs, that's how I want you to look in and say, wow, I can actually visualize that, what he's saying, right?
Right.
Because you would want to buy that. You would want to listen to that, correct? And I appreciate him for thinking of me and always thinking of me in that aspect of my talent. You know what I mean?
So Perry, with that being said, you had to make a decision, or as a gospel artist, all right? And before we get to Eliz, what made you decide that, hey, you know what? I want to bring in a hip hop artist on that particular song. What were you thinking when you were in the studio, maybe writing that song that you said, I think Shakil is a good fit for this and maybe some of the other songs?
Well, because he's Shakil. I know, I wouldn't bring any rapper and, just get on there and spit some words. He tells the story. All I have to do is give him a little bit of it, and his rap is going to stretch it out. Like,
Remember the Adam Project?
Which one?
Adam Ratcliffe?
Oh, yeah, that's another.
There's like another one there, right? It's shout out to Adam Ratcliffe. He's an actor, doing his thing right now. But he got like a country feel to his music, and he wanted a rap on there. And then Perry and them came in and they put another beat because at first it was acoustic.
Okay.
Right. And then
And
we
I
brought-
rapped over acoustic guitar over a country song, right? Which came out really
Yeah.
great. But then they added drums and
Yeah.
somebody
Well, Ray
they put their
changed the
touches
drums
on
up,
it. But
and we brought Dave Poe in
Dave Poe came in
to
and
get
boy,
yeah.
But yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. So definitely what you call in the lab. Now we talked
Yeah.
about E-Liz, and E-Liz being once again on 50 Plus One is an international artist, which Perry and Jesse, Jesse being more on the film aspect of it, and Perry doing more of the music aspect of it. So Perry, one of the songs that Shakil already had with Stingray was "Won't Stop." All right? And so how was the decision made to use that track, okay, to utilize for E-Liz, and as far as what was the remix, with involving those two? Talk to us about that.
Well, I reached out to Ray Stingray, and I told him I wanted to put one of her songs have rap on it, and of course that meant nobody but Shakil, So he ran some music down that he already had in his studio, because he has Drop Zone Studios, and he pulled that record out, and we revised it and had Shakil come in on it, and it was a blast,
Yeah, because that song actually is the song I have with Gilly the Kid.
Yes.
And when they called me in to do that song, the version with her, that's a no brainer. You got an international artist here, and you got these super producers, and people really don't understand what I mean by that. When you see these guys, they really know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? People don't really grasp onto what people do in their craft just because they're not a household name. But there are a lot of super producers, and he's one of them. You got one over there sitting there. You
George
got one
McKnight.
there sitting behind his camera doing what he do, right?
Right.
So when they brought that to my attention, and I was like, wow, she wants to use that. I was honored, honestly. And then she had a couple more that she wanted to use, right?
Okay.
And again, as an artist, to have someone hear your work
exactly.
and then say, yo, I want to do that too. I want to do that. And then want you incorporated with it. That's a big honor. That's one of the biggest honors you can have. So yeah, I'm stoked that she chose that. They chose that song, and we really redid it.
Oh yeah, no, the song is tight. Won't Stop. All right, so let's get back to right before we went to the break. I was telling our audience that I wanted to talk about the state of hip hop today, and there's different opinions that people may have. And Shakil, that is. I heard sort of some of your opinion, but right now, you talked about MySpace back then, all right? Social media really wasn't that big when you think about Instagram, Facebook, and everything you have now. A lot of artists, or hip hop people such as myself, feel that hip hop has been hijacked to some degree by what's happening with the violence that's associated within the music. Some of it being then replicated by artists, all right, that are out there. And, Shakil, as we're meeting right now, what you don't know about me is that, I'm dealing a lot with what's going on with the gun violence and other things that are pertaining to just our young youth these days, between 15 and 30. No, the music is not all to blame for it, okay? But unfortunately, from a metaphysical standpoint, advertisers use people to endorse products because they know it influences them, okay? So when you hear certain music or see certain movies or certain things, they can leave an impression on you. So to some degree, some of what we're hearing, as far as you do have some studio gangsters and you have real gangsters, what I mean, who are really out there. So the music, to some degree, and you have a lot of social media beefs. Now, you can divide the music and just call it a social media beef. It has nothing to do with the music at all. And then you have some songs like The Baby out here right now, basically talking about, well, hey, I don't keep my stash at my house, I leave it here or this or that. You have the Little Kims of the world and, the Nicki Minaj's of the world right now, and they set a tone for maybe a certain dress code and style of certain people. But you also have, so there's pros and cons here. So I just wanted to get your thought on how much of an influence from a negative standpoint do you think that hip hop has right now with some of the artists as far as how it may sort of alter what some of our younger youth between age 15 and 30 are doing on the streets these days?
Well, first off, I'm gonna say this because I'm not here to condemn anything or anybody, right? That's never been my forte as far as being a hater. When we spoke on being a hater and hating, that's two different things. Hating something is different from being a hater. I'm neither one. But I don't like where it's at right now. I didn't like where it was at 5 years ago. I didn't like it when it was YouTube and people was just coming up acting like they could rap and they was using people with Down syndrome, and just exploiting them, putting them out there to gain millions and millions of views. But realistically, it's just clowning them, right? And then they took and made hip hop that, in a sense, they made it a clown factor. So now, when you have these people who assume that they can actually sit back and make a rhyme and make a song or whatever they was doing, now you got followers, and that's what the whole social media era is about, followers, right?
That's right.
So you in the streets, we all from an era where we came up playing in the street, being around people in the street, or however it go, right? But at the same time, these kids now, what they do is it's peer pressure to me. So what they doing is they just following the rest of them. And when you look at the state of where hip hop is right now, it's lost, it's gone. Because I said it a while ago, hip hop is dead. I don't think it's actually dead. I just think it's settled somewhere where it's just waiting to revolve back, because everything comes back full circle, right? So now look at Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I'm not into the battle thing because I think they are doing something differently from when we did the battling back in the day. They exploiting each other and stuff like that, opening up Pandora's boxes for one another and stuff like that. But it is good for hip hop because it brought in the money came in. You gotta remember, hip hop is a big, probably the best genre that sells music, the biggest genre in music sales, but it's down now because of all the drill music, all the rest of the old mumble music and stuff like that. I don't even listen to the radio. You understand that? But what I see is people thought or think, and these youngins think that they could actually sit there, get behind a board, get drunk, get high, and that's what a lot of these kids are doing right now, getting drunk, getting high. They are part of already coming up in these inner cities, and these gangs already attached to them, and they getting pushed by their gang, their brothers and stuff like that to do this. And then here's a record executive, right, who come in, sees it, and exploits them and puts them out there. And then you have these microwave artists, which none of them are artists, because I'm looking at a lot of stuff here. That thing right there was drawn. An artist drew that.
No doubt.
That rug right there was created by an artist. So it wasn't just put together by somebody who thought they could do that. You had to actually hone in on your craft, You know how many times I sat in the mirror in my bathroom and practiced and rapped to myself and then went out in the street and heard these guys ciphering and jumped in the cipher and then say, yo, these guys, they want to battle you, and then go to this part of town and battle them and battle them and battle them, and then become this guy that can go into the studio with somebody. I've never, up until this time in my career, at this age I am now, because of being pushed in a sense by my family, my wife, shout out to my wife and everybody that says, yo, keep doing it. He's a big major, seeing him just love it and do it, keep doing it. And people like him that I just started paying for studio time, and I have well over 1,000+ songs and stuff like that created. I've never paid for studio time in my entire career. But these kids and these youngins are taking something that I love to death. And this is a major topic for me because I don't like it. I don't hate it because I don't hate, but I dislike it, Atlas, so much that it boils in me, because there's people who died for this. Biggie died for this. Tupac died for this. Big L died for this. You know what I'm saying? There's a real rappers, real people who endured life situations, who lost and died for this. Not something that these people are just bringing up, taking, using it, and then making millions of dollars of. Do you understand that some of these record execs have life insurances on these kids that they signing?
Oh, no
that-
doubt. Yeah.
They have life insurance on these kids, but they're so naive. But I'm gonna show. I got my grandson over there. When Designer came out, not disrespecting Designer, he made a nice song back then,
Panda.
right? Panda, Beats Crazy,
No doubt.
right?
You even did something. You did a freestyle.
And
on
I
Panda.
did a freestyle
I
to
know,
it.
I
You
listened
know
to it.
why
It
I
was
did
tight.
that?
It was tight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Know why I did that? Because he was rapping it. And I was saying to him, he probably don't remember this. I said, rap that song for me again. And while he was rapping it, I started rapping it the way he was rapping it, right? And I was sounding, I said, don't I sound retarded? I said, that's how you sound. No disrespect to, I know it's a politically correct way to say things, but I said, you sound retarded. I said, now, what I need to do is I need to speak on what it is that these youngers are doing, what it is, and then give substance to this beat. And that's why it's called Panda Killed by Shakil. And at the end of the song, I say, I say something about them being the bananas in the sense of that these rappers is plantain, and these rappers are plantain because they rapping off trap music, but I'm sorry, but it is a trap. But if it ain't a trap, prove it. But they got it right. It is a trap. Exploitation of black music, right? That's the end of it.
Got you.
So to end what I'm saying, I think that it's all gonna come back full circle. What I mean by it, I mean by talent. I mean all the people who thought they could rap and put this music together and all, they're gonna realize that y'all got y'all time. Y'all had y'all time. Thank you. We appreciate y'all. Now go back and try to figure something else out. Hopefully it won't be killing one another,
Exactly.
right? Because you're not supposed to take this music. You don't hear no other genre of music.
That's right.
None. The Hall and Oates is beefing. They are two guys that been doing their thing together for years. Ain't none of them pulled out a gun to shoot one another. And they was a great group. But you don't hear them bang ready to fight Kool in the Gang or somewhere. Or you don't hear Patti LaBelle ready to go at Gladys Knight and they pulling out knives and all this other stuff. You don't hear the Creed ready to go at Red Hot Chili Peppers. Or you don't hear Brian McKnight ready to beat up Boys the Men, one of them. It's just, we gotta stop.
No doubt.
We gotta stop.
He summed it up really well. With that being said, as we get ready to close out this episode, my producer gave me the signal about 5 minutes ago. I know we're running a little bit longer than we want, but we had to because this is an important topic, right? And so let me just talk real quickly on the flip side of when we think about some of the negative things that are happening in hip hop has also catapulted a lot of artists into different arenas. Queen Latifah having a talk show, number one, just as an example, and also being on sitcom. Will Smith, movie giant, all right? Ice Cube with the big three, all right? Rick Ross owning so many wing stops, all right? 50 Cent and we were talking about that, Offset and all the different things he's been doing on the Stars Network, right? You know what I mean, with that. So we have a lot of hip hop artists who have gone from hip hop and transitioned to other businesses. So we're going to close this out. Perry, you were telling me that Shakil had it, what should we call it? A situation when he was in Africa, all right? So why don't you just talk about that? We're going to close this episode out with a real quick little recap, Perry, if you want to tell me, when you got that phone call or what Shakil was telling you when he went to Africa real quick.
Well, I think he could tell the story a little better and quicker than I can.
Well, just to sum it up, I had out of nowhere received a call. I was with a label. The label was called Teflon Entertainment. Shout out to Mike G. And I created a song with Ryan Toby. Ryan Toby is a singer from the group City High. And if anybody knows City High, they're from Willingboro, New Jersey. So we had close ties to them at that time. and I created a song called and in some shape, form, or fashion, it went down to Atlanta, and it was being played down there. And whoever was promoting down there had a situation with artists, and they was pushing it down in Africa. But they got wind of my song, and I wasn't even their artist. They got wind of my song, and it was getting so much play that they decided to push the artists off that they had and actually come down and negotiate something with me to go over there. So that's how I ended up going to Africa. So I went to Mali. I went to the western part of Africa. Bamako, Sikaso, Moti, Ghana, a lot of parts of Africa over there. And it was unreal. When I touched down in Africa, it was just like when you ever see the Ali movie with
That's right.
and it was Ali, Boumaye, and all that. It was thousands of people waiting for me at the airport to come out because they had planned my. At that time, they only had one TV station. So in reference to that, they had a video show that would air at least 4 times a day on that one channel, and I had the number one video that's playing and song that's playing consistently in the radios down there. And then, so when I get there, there's thousands of people there waiting for me. So, make a long story short, I get the first show. It's in soccer stadium in Mali. It's about 15,000 people there. Tear it down. And the reason why that is important, Atlas, is because that first show makes me very, very known for me being in the country, right? So at the time, now I'm finished that show. I was only supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but I ended up being there for 2 months because I got sick. I ate the chicken that was fresh, and it messed me up. That was one. So I had to sit down for a week, get myself together. So now when but they were moving me and moving me and moving me, and I had a person to take care of me. Her name was Mama, rest her soul. I heard she just passed away. And we were watching TV one day, and I was wondering why they always moved us from different parts, different hotels, right? Because I had like 50 people coming to see me every day for pictures. Even the family brought me goats and stuff like that for gifts. So
That's right. A goat for a gift. Go
yeah,
ahead.
goat for a gift. And I'm sitting there watching TV. And again, this is what's the western part of Africa is a French colonies, right? So they speak in Bambara and they speak in French over there. So everything, remember Highlander?
Yes.
Highlander's big over there. So you're watching Highlander and it's in French.
There can only be one.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Highlander.
yeah.
There can only be one.
So
All right.
so they go across the screen and they show these guys. They cut it and they show these like 8 guys, and they're laid in front of like a rug or carp, whatever it was that they had, and it had knives and guns and German Rugers, right? And they had these guys tied up with their head behind their back and running. And I see my name. You see it. Everything is in French, but I see my name go across it, Shakil. And Mama says to me, "Those are bad men. Bad men. Those are bad men." And I could see the promoter guy, who was African, trying to shush her, like shush. And she, by this time, man, she's doing everything for me, washing clothes and stuff like that, get me food and everything. So she got close to me. So she like, "No, those bad men. Those men look for Shakil." I'm like, "Huh?" So then a couple other people was telling me, "Yeah, those guys are headhunters. They've been looking for you to kidnap you and hold you." Now, mind you, I'm going to say this. I'm in the motherland. My mother isn't here today. Rest in peace to my mother. My mother drove me to New York because I had second thoughts of going at first. But my mother convinced me to go because she said, who gets to go back to the motherland on their own talent? I didn't have to pay anything. Who gets to go to the motherland for the people to want you there? She said, you got to take this opportunity. So she drove me to New York to catch the plane there. Now, with that being said, I'm there and I'm loving it. I'm in Africa. And I'm the guy that says, because I'm from Camden and I'm not naive. These people are hungry. I'm food. I'm not mad that somebody's trying to kidnap me or whatever. I'm just saying it's time to go. So a couple did another show. Show was huge. It was in Sikaso. And the government, we're in a different country now. The government took the entire piece of money. Now, mind you, I've been gone 2 months, so my family hasn't. Back then, it was 2001. We don't have the cell phones in Africa like they do now at all. So I had to go to internet cafes and things of that nature to call back home. So I'm not seeing or hearing. I hadn't talked to my family at all. So I didn't realize, even as a American citizen, this is what people need to realize and understand. Whenever you go to a foreign country or a different country, period, always check in at the embassy, the American embassy. They need to know that you're there. You follow what I'm saying? Because when they did find out that I was there, they was pissed. And they found out because I had a mural drawn on the wall next to Jay-Z, and I believe it was Biggie, giant. And these people are walking around with my face on their shirts and my name on their shirts that they made while I'm there, right? So I'm super huge in this in Africa, and I'm enjoying it. And they moved me to where I couldn't get any guys are caught. But when this government took this money, and at least 20,000, it was 20,000 people there, and I hadn't been seen or heard from my family. I end up punching the promoter in his face because he kind of like smirked, right? Like the next morning we all good, we waking up, yeah, it was a good show now,
Right.
and he's yeah, the government take the money. I'm like, what you mean the government took the money? And he's like smirking, like, yeah, the government took the money. So you telling me I haven't heard from my family, I've been away this long time. You smirking, and here's this where the janky promoter thing comes in, right? So I felt like he was duking me. So I punched him in the face. And then the people came and got me. It wasn't like remember, I'm in Africa, so it ain't like the local cops. These guys in the army, they got ARs, banana clips. So they take me in and they Shakil. That's all I got when I was there from the first show. Shakil. Explain. And like I explained to you, he says, yeah, the government's like that here. Yeah. He said, but the people love you, man. And, this isn't America. That's what he made sure I know. This isn't America. You can't just punch people in the face. There's nothing we could do to you but send you back home. But we like you to stay. The people love you here. So what I did was, just to make a long story short, I did a few more shows, but I'm going to tell you this. I decided that it was time to go. And I had a friend that came down. He was my photographer. He was my his name is Tim. Tim still goes there. Shout out to Tim. It's my brother. He lives in Kansas City now, but he still goes back ever since then, right? He was my manager. He's my manager's brother. And I end up coming back to the original place from all the countries that we've been through and riding through. I end up remembering this place because it was the first place, which was Bamako, Mali. And I said, the airport's in this place. So while they were asleep, I packed my bags in the late night, in the wee mornings
Okay.
of Africa.
All right.
And I'm going to say this, like a dumbass, I walked in Africa to try to make it to the airport, forgetting that I'm in Africa. So it's dark and it's all, all I hear is like animals and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, I'm in Africa.
Right.
So here comes this ball. It's like this little light. It's coming down because it's dark as ever, right?
Right.
It comes this little light, and the light's getting bigger, and the light's getting bigger, and it's getting bigger. And as it got bigger, it was a cab. It was a taxi cab.
Okay.
And the guy rolls the window down. He sees me with my bags, and he says, Shakil. And I said, yes. He said, where you going? I said, to the airport. He's like, The airport's not that way. So I was like, yeah. Mind you, I ain't have no money. I just had everything that I brought with me to wear, which was basically all brand new stuff. Boots, shoes, sneakers, whatever. So I tells the guy, listen, if you get me to the airport, you can have him. He's like, he took the boots. I had some Timberlands. He took me to the airport. The only thing about the airport, it wasn't no flights out. So I go there and I'm sitting there waiting. And here comes the manager of that airport. And he says, Shakil. And I'm like, yeah. And he said, what you doing? And I said, I'm trying to go home. He was like, no flights. I said, and I explained to him what I'm trying to do, what happened. And he said, I get it, man. My brother was at your first concert. He loves you. Said, if you don't mind, I could take you back to mine. So I went with him. Took me back to his place. He went to school here.
Okay.
He was educated here. And the money that he made here, you can go down there, take $10,000 and build a 5-star hotel. So he had a laid out home. And his brother was there, and I'm sitting there, I'm playing the game. It was just a good thing. Luck, I don't say luck. I say God the entire time, because he not only takes me to his home, feeds me, I'm fine here, he takes me back to the airport so I can get ready to get on this flight. Mind you, he never asked me one thing. My visa. So remember, I was only supposed to be there 2 weeks. My visa ran out. I didn't even know that. By the time I get to the airport, all my people are there. The promoters, and my boy, and all of them. And they're like, yo, what you doing? He had the guards block me off. I said, yo, I got to go home. I was just fed up. I said, I got to go home. I can't stay here. They was lining up more shows. So end up happening is I go through, I said, I'm going. I end up going through the conveyor to get, to check in, hand them all my ticket, my ID, and then hand them my passport. He says, no visa. Shakil. And let me go. So now I got to get through customs. Customs checks my bags, looking at, hand them my ID, my visa, my passport, everything. Customs says, no visa. Shakil. Calls all the other people over. They take a picture with the little, remember them?
Yep, Kodak.
Yep, taking pictures with me. I said, I just want to get home, man. I'm tired. It's like, so the guy's sitting there in customs and he says, I'll never forget this. He says, I go to lunch. So I'm sitting there with my bag in my hand. He's just saying it. I go to lunch. I go to lunch. I said, oh. He's letting me go.
Okay.
Now I got one more.
Goodbye.
One more. So I'm going down. And mind you, just know the plane is all the way from the building. But I still got to get through them to get up. And I get up there, and the guy gets the passport, and he calls over his guy, and he says, first, Shakil. Remember, this is the first. When I landed, these are all the people that knew who I was from the door. And these are all the people who showed up to the first concert. So when I get there, they recognize who I am, and then notice that there is no visa, but I got past the rest of them. And he said, go home, man. And I was home. 2001, I've been home ever since.
All right. Well, that's a hell of a story right there, right? And Perry, do you look forward to doing anything with Shakil anytime in the near future?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I have a solo CD coming out, and I got some work for him. So I got some stories I need on a couple of songs.
All right. Well, it's 8 million stories in the Naked City. You remember that, right? Right.
Yeah.
And we got about 7 million stories today on this episode of Local Legends, Past, Present, and Future. I'm your guest host, Atlas X, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for our special guest, Shakil.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks, P. Love you to death, man.
Love you too, bro.
And whenever y'all need me, I'm here for you. That's always been me. He knows that. And shout out to hip hop. Shout out to Camden. Shout out to everybody that's always followed me, always supported me. I love y'all to death. That's all I can say, man. I'm still coming. We got a movie coming out called Sons of Sin. It should be out in Tubi in July. We have a soundtrack for that. I got a single that's doing well with Porter Rich right now. It's called Tell Me What You Want. I'm still working. I'm working on a podcast myself. People want that. I got a project I'm working on, and I probably have him 50
50 plus
always
1.
50 plus 1, because Jesse's always want to use his cameras. Put these documentary together with this guy for me. Remember I told you I was writing that? So it's like a memoir I'm writing with all that in it. I believe that no one could walk in my shoes when it comes to it. Probably him, but no one could walk in my shoes when it comes to this music thing and the career that I've had, and I'm grateful for it, regardless of where I'm at. You know what I mean? I appreciate y'all for having me.
You're a local legend.
All right, well, there you go. That's the last word right there. Local legends, past, present, and future, Shakil and Perry Jenkins. See you next time.
Local legends, past, present, and future. Yeah, that's right. Shakil. We had the Local Legends podcast, past, present, and future. We talked to him. Check it. I remember that time when I was at the table writing that rhyme. My grandma said, let me hear it. I start reciting those lines. I remember the smile on her face. I looked her right in her eyes. She looked surprised when I was finished. She said, Mike, I just cried. I felt the pride because what I was saying touched her deeply inside. She rubbed my face like she was amazed. I felt completely alive. It was a feeling of approval because the song was for my mom, a good time. Because I had wrote the song right after she died. My grandma's spirit was with me. See, I envisioned her with me. It was clear that I was missing her dearly. With every pen stroke, my pen spoke vividly. She could picture it like a preacher reading the scripture. But I'm no minister reminiscing. My thoughts and vision was taking me back to at a time when I was just starting to rap. When my grandma was my main supporter and I was just starting to trap. I kept it low, she didn't know, but she knew where my heart was at, doing music. I thought that no one would listen. I can't believe I put my dream in fruition. I can't remember being timid, spitting rhymes in the kitchen. Now I'm that artist that my city envisioned. It was all a dream. I thought that no one would listen. I can't believe I put my dreams in fruition. I can't remember being timid, spitting rhymes in the kitchen. Now I'm that artist that my city envisioned. It was all I felt my confidence building. I held of a feeling. The more I practiced my craft, the more I was ready and willing to hit the streets and start killing them. Thinking of Jazzy and willing them. Watching Sonny and Georgie rapping and how they was feeling them. Who ignited a flame in me. Ain't nothing the same in me. I was quiet when I was younger. Hip-hop started changing me. Started battling other rappers and that made a name for me. I'm a beast, I'm destroying rappers and no one was taming me. I'm the talk of the city. Everybody was claiming me. When it came to the best, everybody was saying me. Wasn't part of that clan, but had that ghost in that ran me. I'm performing at house parties, but don't get it playing me. I was downtown, going around town, hitting every block. Knocking rappers' heads off, coming off the top. Freestyling a beast out of the cage. A local rapper who had no idea rocking the stage. I thought that no one would listen. I can't believe I put my dream in fruition. I can't remember being timid, spitting rhymes in the kitchen. Now I'm that artist that my city envisioned. It was all a dream. I thought that no one would listen. I can't believe I put my dreams in fruition. I can't remember being timid, spitting rhymes in the kitchen. Now I'm that artist that my city envisioned. It was all a dream. I'm in the booth now with Tim's on and a brown goose down. Inside a padded room with a pop mic that is soundproof now. While the lay vocals up in Polygon or around true sound. I'm officially a rapper now and from a town of few crown. Most dangerous, I'm selling nicks of weed and dimes of angel dust. A part of Junior Wrecking Crew, no other crew could bang with us. Nobody wanted to stay with us, and so that thing with us, I was destined to hit the pen. That's why I had to change it up. I kept it rapping and signed me a couple deals, nothing major. A few indies worth a couple of million. Went from one group to the next group, and finally only Shakil. 2000 was the year I started my solo career. My first project, my only way out of a lost city. Where that Teflon was protection, cause I was such an investment. Got a catalog that stretches from California to Texas. I went from dreaming to making records to being a local legend. Shakil.